All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Raha Kwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, laboring in His truth in all sincerity. Genesis 11:9, and I'll read this in the NLT. That is why the city was called Babel, because that is where Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai confused the people with different languages. In this way, He scattered them all over the world. I have a really short video here that I'm about to play, and I'm going to play it twice. The video is only roughly about 9 or 10 seconds long, if I'm correct.
Deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2SLGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent. Deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2SLGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent. Deal with the ongoing...
Okay. So I didn't even know that they added more letters to the alphabet community. And you just heard her, and I'll play it one last time here. You can see it there on the bottom of the screen. MMIW G2SLGBTQIA+.
Deal with the ongoing genocide of MMIW G2SLGBTQIA+. This is abhorrent. Deal with the...
And that there was an individual by the name of Leah Gazan, and she is a Canadian member of the Parliament NWP Winnipeg Center, known for her vocal advocacy on human rights, specifically concerning, and this is what it stands for, missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and two-spirit people, and their intersection with LGBTQIA+ safety. And like I was stating, I didn't even know that this particular community, they added more letters and even a number now in what I guess what is supposed to be their identifying, whatever their identity is or however they want to be labeled. But once again, there it is. Those particular letters right there. It stands for missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, and asexual people. This acronym is used in Canada to represent disproportionate rates of violence, murder, and disappearance faced by Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse individuals, largely as a result of ongoing colonial violence, systemic racism, and marginalization. And this is flat out confusion. Nothing more, nothing less. And we know that the Most High is not the author of confusion. But what really makes this fucked up is how the Canadian government conflates missing, murdered Indigenous women and girls with two-spirit moles and their particular agenda. And we do know that these are, if we're talking about Canada, we are talking about, this all goes back to 2nd Esdras chapter 13, starting somewhere around verse 40 on down. We know that the tribes went into what's known today as Canada, the U.S., Central and South America. So when you see that this acronym stands for missing and murdered Indigenous women, they're talking about women of the tribes. And what they're doing here is because you're not going to get enough people to really give two craps about, the rest of everything else that they added on to that. So in order to make people look at it twice, or in order to make people, do that double take, they have to add, the Indigenous women who were murdered along with the young girls as well. So you take something that's probably a legitimate gripe, something that is a legitimate concern, and you you add all this other mumbo jumbo to it, and this is exactly how these bullshit movements and advocacy groups divert attention away from what was probably a legitimate issue revolving the murder of indigenous women and girls, and now they're trying to incorporate it with a bunch of other bullshit. And so, like I said earlier, we know that the Most High is not the author of confusion. But let's go into this here for a second, because as we can see, because I didn't really understand what it meant when it said, and two-spirit, of course, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and all of that. So I went to Google AI overview, two-spirit plus meaning. Two-spirit plus, often 2SLGBTQIA plus, refers to indigenous LGBTQI plus people who combine native cultural identity with sexuality and gender, holding both masculine and feminine spirits. Two-spirit is a distinct sacred cultural spiritual identity, not just a label for being queer. The plus indicates inclusion of other gender and sexual identities. So I'll try to put all that in layman's terms. Basically, they got demons on them, so, and I'm going to kind of try to watch what I say, because this is going to be a really short video, and I don't want anything I say here, to become a flaggable offense, and, they strike my channel or remove any videos or anything that I pretty much, put up here. So, and it's, it's really a shame that, people even have to do that. We're living in a country that supposedly gives you the privilege or the right of free speech, but there are certain groups that are actually protected, and you're not even allowed to speak against them, or you may face some level of repercussion. So, but basically, I just wanted to keep showing why this place is becoming primed and ready for its destruction. And you can see it, people really don't even give a fuck. If I was to show you the comments, the comment section on this particular video here, which I'm not going to do because, like I said, I don't want to get flagged. I mean, people are roasting the hell out of this. People are like legit upset about this, legitimately mad. Like, this isn't just anybody. That's an actual politician there. So, we're at a point now where people are not going to want to feel like they're being silenced, for too long. Especially when you're talking, supposedly you live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And if I'm here but speak out against somebody in a totally different country, I may face repercussions here because of my beliefs or because of how I feel that particular community is infringing on my beliefs or what I think or what I feel. And so that comment section underneath this video here is a telltale sign of, people just not giving a damn anymore. And that's basically what we're seeing here. And, the book of Matthew, chapter 24, if we scroll down here to verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And I'll read that in the NLT as well. Sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. And so you're basically seeing, people in that comment section that I was just speaking of, basically just not even caring, and, giving people a piece of their mind about how they feel about that and just how ridiculous that is. So let's come over here to now this particular cartoon imagery here. This was one of the comments underneath that same video. And I thought this was interesting. So you see here, this is a politician, I guess, and she's running for a particular office. You see the flags above it there. You see, behold, our greatest achievement. And that's what she's stating with a big smile on her face. Meanwhile, the voters here at the bottom, We just wanted affordable housing and lower taxes. This lady here is crying. What does this even mean? You know, this guy here is holding up some type of tax form, tax 2026, and you see even a young kid there. We just wanted affordable housing and lower taxes. And that's exactly what these politicians do. They force you, and this is why, it makes no sense. You know, even if you wanted to vote for something under the belief that this politician is legitimately better than his opponent, they're going to mix in a certain level of just unrighteousness and so much bullshit with it that you're basically voting for evil. No matter how you slice it and dice it, no matter what you do to try to get around it, you can't get around it. A politician can get up there and have a list, a whole litany of just good things that he really plans on doing for the people. But those 10 or 11 really fucked up things like this right here, it fucks up everything. So you're basically, this whole concept of voting for the lesser of two evils, say what you want to say. People are going to always talk about how bad Nero is right now as the sitting president of the U.S. And I'm not denying that. He definitely is fucked up. But when the other side presents you with this type of alternative, it just goes to show you that the entire system is fucked up and there's no repairing this thing. There's like no repairing it. It's basically eat this plate of dog vomit versus eat this plate of dog shit. Or drink this cup of bleach versus drink this cup of water with ground up pieces of glass all in it. So, and this is basically, what American democracy is right now. And this is spreading. It's spreading throughout the world. Right now you're seeing a lot of backlash because people are starting to wake up. People are starting to see, like, look how fucked up your country is for you to try to be sitting there and playing the moral police on everybody else. This country right now, Babylon, which is modern day America, is really in no position to try to police any other countries, especially in terms of morality. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. So even though this politician is in Canada, we know this level of confusion comes from modern day Babylon, which is promoting her policies all over the world. And like I was saying, this goes back to American, this whole concept of we are, America, is the leader of the free world. But this is the type of shit that, you basically promote all over the world. And, if that's freedom, then that's nothing to, brag about. This, what you're seeing on the screen right here is, this little cartoon comic strip. This is exactly what Babylon has become. You take the most degenerate shit you can possibly think of, you put that at the forefront, and then you have people who legitimately want to see a country do better and they vote on certain issues, but you can't even get the most decent policy without them having to attach the bullshit to it. So let's look at Psalms chapter 119 real fast. And I'm going to verse 10. With my whole heart I have sought thee. O let me not wander from thy commandments. So you look at what this gentleman right here wrote, and this is one more comment underneath the same video. And this particular gentleman says, once again, for the MMIWG2 SLGBTQQIA+, how many letters will they keep adding? When language becomes this bloated, it stops communicating and starts signaling. This isn't compassion, it's confusion dressed up as policy. And the longer the acronym gets, the further we drift from reality. So let's go back into Psalms chapter 119, verse 10. With my whole heart I have sought thee, O let me not wander from thy commandments. NLT reads as, I have tried hard to find you. Don't let me wander from your commands. And that's, essentially what the gentleman there whose comment I just read, that's what he's stating basically. The more you add on to this confusion, that's damn near, I don't even know how many letters that is right there, and I'm not going to count it. But the more you add on to this confusion, people, if you're not deeply rooted and grounded, you're going to start wandering. Eventually, you'll even find yourself debating this type of shit. Like, oh, well, people have their own rights. People have a right to do this, and people have a... You're not even supposed to debate this ridiculous shit. That type of shit right there is so fucked up that there's really nothing to debate. I'm just putting this video up to show, like, this is the reason why this place is primed and readied for missiles, for complete total destruction by thermonuclear destruction. So this place is getting so fucked up, there's really no place to go except back to the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You're not going to find any solace or comfort or peace anyplace else. And that's just the truth. No matter how many people keep trying to say, oh, we're going to restore America. We're going to bring it back to its greatness. America is not coming back. What you're seeing right now is this country basically at the brink, at the precipice of complete and utter destruction. And we learn that in Jeremiah 51. If you read Jeremiah 51:9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let her go, everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. So right there you have it. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Or if you read this in the NLT, we would have helped her if we could, but nothing could save her now. And that's exactly where we are. It's not getting better. It's not coming back. It's never going to return to its former glory. It was never that beacon of hope to begin with. So it can't be healed, just like the scripture tells us, or made great again. It's a disease that is spread, and that's why it has to be destroyed by way of thermonuclear fire. So, we look at this, I'm not going to play this video again, but this particular politician, the fucked up thing about this thing here is that, there's probably some young J kids in school who probably failed the damn test because they, forgot what one of these damn letters up here meant, MMIW all the way down to GIA plus, some kid probably got that shit wrong on the test, probably got left back or some shit because he, this is the type of shit we got to deal with when you live in here. You got to send your kids to these fucking institutions, these fucking schools and shit, and it's the type of shit that they're learning. This the type of shit where if he don't want to participate in a class, the fucking teachers want to fucking kick him out the damn class and shit and give him a failing grade or some shit like that. And that just goes to show you, this place has to fucking go, man. It's, you can't even, there's no way to even put this. This place has to burn. It does. And, this, for you to even understand, this is a sitting politician. This woman is up here saying this, so it just goes to show you just how far gone this place is and how all of Babylon's bullshit eventually starts to spread. And this is the reason why, the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai has to come back and destroy this place. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or maybes about it. It has to happen. This level of unrighteousness, it just can't keep going on like this. So with that being said, I'm just going to end this video here with a scripture that I brought out earlier, but I didn't go into it. So I just saved it for last. Let's just go to 1 Corinthians 14, verse 33. For Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. I pray this has been edifying and reaches the ears it's supposed to reach. Shalom.